Okay, here's a help guide if you're struggling. You have number 1, 6x to the second plus 24x equals 0. So there are two answers because you have x to the second. So when there's two answers, use your A, B, C. Okay? So that's an A. That's a B. There's no C. Okay? When I have an AB, I line up the GCF. First off, make sure an AB is lined up equal to 0, which it is, and then factor out your GCF. So if I go 6 and 24, okay, look in the 6th row, there's 6, 24 is there as well, so we want to do 6 and we want to take x, okay? And that's your F1. Okay, now to find F2, we go up and divide by what the GCF was, 6x. Those cancel, and we get 1x plus 4. Okay, and then you're good to solve. 6x could equal 0, or 1x plus 4 could equal 0. Solving these kind of equations, just knowing your rules, like two answers in A, B, it's got to be lined up equal to 0, and then your GCF takes you from there. So 1x equals -4. You're just breaking down the equation with these boxes. So -4 divided by 1 is -4. So 0, -4. Okay, let's keep it rolling. I have 5x, next one, number 2 is a quick one. We have 5x to the second minus 45 equals 0. So there's two answers. So we obviously have an A. And you don't have a B this time. That's a C. If it doesn't have an X, it's a C. So ACs are the easiest to solve. You just get the X second by itself. You're going to add 45, then divide by 5. So 5x to the second equals 45. Then I divide by 5, and that's 9. But now, what number times itself is 9? Well, the square root of 9 is 3. Could also be -3. Okay, 1 and 2 are easy. 1 and 2 aren't that bad, okay, because there were only 2 of the 3 terms. Now, 3, 4, and 5, x to the second plus 7x equals 18. So we have two answers. So I have 1 as my A, 7 is my B, and 18 is a C because it doesn't have an X. So in ABC, the first thing you need to do is get this to 0. So minus anything over here, you got to get to 0. Minus 18, now there's no C over there, so you just put minus 18 at the end. Okay, and now rewrite it. You now have 1x to the second as your A, plus 7x as your B, but now it's minus 18 for your C, and now you're equal to 0. So that's the first thing you do with an ABC, make sure you're equal to 0. Okay, next thing, you apply the discriminant, the square root. B to the second minus 4AC. Now, go on a phone calculator or whatever, you just go to Google Calculator, and you hit the square root. You need to put your up one parentheses comes up, but you need to put a second one. So B is 7, and that has to be taken to the second power. So you hit this XY key, and then 2, and then minus, and then always a 4. That's part of the formula. Okay, and then A is 1, C is -18. You got to make sure you get the C in as -18, or this isn't going to go well. Okay, I got 11. I did not get a decimal, so that means I want to try to factor this into two parentheses with an F1 and an F2. So first, I see if I have a GCF other than 1, and then I'm going to make my table. Okay, 1, 7, and 18 is just 1, and this doesn't have an X at the end, so you can't use it. If anything doesn't have an X, you can't put X out there. So just having a GCF of 1 is worthless. Okay, so I got nowhere there. But then I take my A times C. 1 times -18 is -18. So if it's negative, that's a positive times a negative, and the two factors have to add to positive 7. 1 and 18, no. Divide by 2, you get 9. Now, that's -7 when you add, But to make it positive 7, you just go plus 9 minus 2. Now look at your A. Your A up there is a 1. Having a 1 in front can be dropped, okay? So we just write that as in 2 parentheses with x minus 2 and x plus 9. And there's my F1 and my F2. So x minus 2 could equal 0, x plus 9 equals 0. So I add 2, I got 2 minus 9, I got negative 9, 2 and negative 9. Okay, next one, we have 3x to the power of 2 minus 13x plus 14 equals 0. Okay, A, B, C. So I'm going to attack it the same way I did up here, but I don't need to line up the equation. We already have the 0, so we're good to go. We can go straight to the discriminant. So square root, need that second parentheses. B is negative 13. Close it. Remember, you have to raise that to the second power. So I hit x, y, and then 2, minus, and then always a 4 in parentheses. That's always there, regardless of what the equation is. And A is 3, C is 14. Yeah, positive 14 this time. Okay, I got 1, I did not get a decimal, so I want to try to do the F1, F2 parentheses. So GCF, just like I did on the top problem above. Okay, 3, 13, and 14 are only in that first row. You can't, so the GCF again is a moot point. 3 times 14 is 42. It's positive this time. So if it's positive, that'll be a negative times a negative. The signs will be the same. So I multiply 2 factors of the same sign. That's how I get a positive. I add to get to negative 13. Okay. 142, nope. If you divide 42 by 2, you get 21, nope. If I divide 42 by 3, I get 14, nope. Now if I divide 42 by 4, decimal, don't even put it. Go to 5. Decimal, don't even put it. 6 and 7. Okay. I think that works. Okay. Now this time my A up there looks to me to be a 3. So I can't just delete a 3. Okay. So I need to make 2 sets of parentheses instead of 2. And this is just a stepping stone to get down here. So I start with 3. Minus 6, minus 7. Now we can divide those. Those are both in the third row. So I divide by 3, and that's 1x minus 2. Those are both in the first row. So that'll stay 3x minus 7. And now I have my correct 2 factors. So 1x minus 2 could equal 0. 3x minus 7 could equal 0. So I add 2, divide by 1, I get 2, then plus 7, 7 over 3, okay? 2 and 7 over 3. Okay, number 5. We've got 2x to the power of 2 minus 6x plus 3 equals 0. So that is 2 answers. Okay, so A, B, C all here. So your zero's there. You don't have to reline up the equation like you did on number 3. Okay. Apply your discriminant to see what you have to do. Okay. Because you don't want to make those boxes and then do the T-chart and not be able to find it. Okay, that's really annoying. Okay, so B, negative 6 raised to the second power. Then I subtract 4. Then A is 2, C is 3. Okay, 3.46. So getting a decimal, an irrational number like that, means use the quadratic formula. Don't try to do your F1, F2. You won't be able to do it. So that's the sum. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC, B squared minus 4AC over 2A, over 2A. So the opposite of B is 6. And cross this square root we just did. We know that that's 3.46. I don't need to worry about all that crap inside. And then the A is 2. So we have 6, 3.46, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so I add 6 to 3.46, click equals, then divide by 4. 2.37, round to the nearest hundredth. Okay. Then 6 minus 3.46 divided by 4 is 0.64. Okay, number 6. Now the game changes, okay? Your ABC is not going to work at the beginning. 2x to the third minus 8x equals 0. So there are 3 answers now because the x is to the power of 3. So remember, here's how you want to handle a cubic equation. It's a cubic equation. These are quadratic equations. There's 2, okay? These are cubic. Well, put your x third. You know you got that. Do you have x to the second? No. You have x. Yep. Do you have a constant, a number without an x? 0 doesn't count. No, you don't. So you have these 2. That's 2 terms. So a 2-term cubic equation, we do our GCF. Then we see if we have difference of perfect squares, dots. Okay, so 2 and 8, you can do a 2, and you can also factor out an x, because then that x goes away at the end. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now remember, it's x third divided by x, so that'll be x to the second minus 4. Now what do you do on difference of perfect squares? You always, no matter what, you make 2 parentheses. One is plus, one is minus. And you're looking at the parentheses. That 2x here, that just drops down, okay? Okay, you can delete the 1 as long as it's a 1. X to the second's x times x, and then a negative 4 positive times a negative, and that would be 2, 2. And now you got your 3 answers. You just got to solve them. So F1, F2, F3. So 2x equals 0. Divide by 2, you get 0. X plus 2 equals 0. You minus 2, you get negative 2. Minus 2 is 0. You plus 2, and you get 2. Okay, 0, negative 2, and 2. Okay, last 2, number 7. These are cubic equations, so don't go labeling ABC. You do that on a 2-answer equation. See, these have 3. Okay, so you got 3 answers. You know you got x third. That's why you have 3 answers. You have x second, you have x, but you don't have the constant, so that's 3 terms. So to solve a 3-term cubic equation, you want to do the GCF like you did on number 6, the last problem. But then instead of the dots, you want to do your T-chart. So 2, 14, and 20, if you look at the second row on the chart, on the second page of the document, you'll see they're all in the second row. And we have x at the end. Okay, so we can also factor out x. 2x will be my F1. Get rid of the x's there, just there though. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X third divided by, that's a 2 there. X third divided by x is x to the second. 14 divided by 2 is 7. X squared x would be x, and then plus 10. Okay, so I'm there. Then I do my A, B, and C from there. So 1 times 10 is 10. It's positive. Okay. So if it's positive, we're thinking negative, negative. We're adding to try to get to plus 7. 1 and 10 doesn't accomplish that. Divide by 2, you get 5. Now that adds to now if I add negative 2 plus negative 5, that's negative 7. So that's the right numbers, they're just got the wrong signs on them. So plus, plus, and now I have positive 7. So now look at what your A, your A is not 2 anymore, it's 1. Do the ABC here. Remember, you don't do ABC there, you can only do ABC when you have x squared, x. Okay, A's 1, so let's delete him, okay, and it's just x squared then. So I go x, just 2 parentheses, x plus 2, x plus 5. See, there's not a number in front that we have to deal with because I'm able to delete the 1. Now drop your GCF 2x down. And now you have your 3 factors, f1, f2, f3. So 2x could equal 0, so I divide by 2, I get 0. X plus 2 could equal 0. Get negative 2. And x plus 5 could equal 0. And we get negative 5. Okay, last problem. X to the third minus 4x to the second minus 9x plus 36 equals 0. So there are 3 answers. So anytime we have 3 answers, we're going to put x to the third. You got x to the second? Yep. You have x? Yep. You have a constant? Yep. So you have 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 terms means you do the grouping that we learned last week. Okay. Factor by grouping. You put 2 parentheses with a plus in the middle, you're going to make that plus negative, just a 9 though. Then the same thing, but outside of there you're going to put GCF spaces, okay, of your 2 parentheses. Then you make a small little parentheses and a big parentheses, and then the equals 0. And that's the end of the process. These will be what you said equal to 0. So we have 1x to the third minus 4x to the second. Then we have negative 9x plus 36. So 1 and 4, the GCF's 1, okay? And then we have x to the second last. So I divide by 1x to the second. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. X third divided by x second is x. And then 4 divided by 1 is 4. Remember the x's, get rid of them there. Okay, now you need a negative here. Anytime the leading number in the expression's negative, we need to have a negative GCF. Now if you look at your chart, the 9th row, 36 is there, so it's 9. But we don't put x there because this 36 doesn't have an x to take from, to divide from. So that's 1x minus 4. And do these parentheses match up? You know it, so that is what I put there. Now, after you put that there, you delete them, and you have 1x to the second minus 9. And now you're good to solve the equation. So the 1x minus 4 could equal 0. So I add 4. Divide by 1, x equals 4. There's your first answer. Now this one here, you got to remember to square root at the end. Okay, so you're going to add 9. Which is 9, divide by 1, it's still going to be 9, but it's x to the second equals 9. So to find the actual value for x, you need to apply a square root to the 9. So it could be 3, but it could also be negative 3.